What is going on, guys? Welcome to the first stream on the channel in what seems like forever. I am activist, TikToker, filmmaker extraordinaire, Kate Dolbier. Dolbier, did I get that right? Okay, yes.
You did.
Um, and she is in the process of making a movie. She is an activist. She cleans up beaches, deals with plastic pollution. She's trying to rid the world of that, help pass legislation to uh, scale down pollution. So we're going to get into that. And yeah, I guess what is the um, plot of your movie? Or what is the thought behind it, I guess?
So, overall, biggest goal of the documentary is to showcase how one community, because Hawaii is an island, so we have this unique opportunity to solve a problem within our own circle. And so it's kind of a case study, if you will, of how one community can make a difference.
There you go. You came back. You're freezing a little bit there. It was just perfect, I swear, y'all. We just had it all working.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I don't know. Are you on do you have a Ethernet cable or are you on Wi-Fi? Technical difficulties, please stand by. But while we're at it, what is going on? What's up, Shannon, Alaska? How y'all doing? It's been crazy the last couple weeks, y'all. I know I haven't streamed in a while, but I got a lot of things in the works, and yeah, it's been hectic. So I haven't been able to really stream lately, but I'm gonna try to get back to a regular schedule here pretty soon. One of my moderators says he cleans up beaches too. Yeah, don't you you live in Alaska, I'm assuming. They are rad. Otters? Otters are rad? Is that who's rad? I don't know much about otters, but I would assume they're rad. River otters? Is she back? No? No? It's still frozen on mine.
I can hear you perfectly.
I can hear you. I can hear you fine. I just can't. Your picture's just frozen. Yeah. You're not frozen in a weird angle or anything though. So no, yeah, you're not making a funny face or anything.
That's good.
You're good on that. Yeah.
Okay. It's the biggest fear. I'm just look crazy for a little bit. I got all my other devices off of the Wi-Fi, so hopefully
maybe try refreshing maybe one time. Let me try.
I'll refresh.
Damn it. Oh, there we go. All right, it's just me now, y'all. It's just me. So, anyway, what have y'all been up to? So, I've been working on a long-form video about this whole Matt Gaetz scandal. And I mean, oh my god, y'all. This shit is crazy. This is the most Florida story I've ever seen in my life. We've talked about the Matt Gaetz part, but the part that has to do with the guy that he's involved with, that he was he ran the tax collector's office in Seminole County, Florida. His name's Joel Greenberg, and he had some shit going on. He spent $400,000 on drones and body armor for the tax collector's office. He was running another business out of the tax collector's office that was buying and selling Bitcoin. And then he was stealing all the old IDs. Because down in Florida, that's where you get your ID at, is the tax collector's office. He was stealing all the old IDs and using them for this sugar daddy sex trafficking thing he had going on. It's a crazy ass story. hopefully I can get the video out in the next couple days. But there's just so many details to it. It's absolutely insane. Q is so 2020. I mean, yeah, it kind of is. Well, Q hasn't posted since 2020. Now it's just what are your thoughts on Q Into the Storm so far? I'm really enjoying it. I really enjoy it too. That guy did a really good job. I'll make a video probably like breaking down some of that. It like maybe when it's over, because I don't want to make like a real in-depth video until I get everything, everything kind of gets figured out and we see what his conclusion is. I mean, pretty much it looks like his conclusion is going to be that it was Ron Watkins, which is looking pretty accurate, but he's definitely done the most in-depth interview with the Watkinsons and really just everybody involved, the whole cast of characters. So we'll see what it is. But yeah, no, I'll definitely make a video on that at some point. Just do an audio session. I swear everything was perfect. We just talked for like 30 minutes before we went live. Everything was completely fine, and then as soon as we went live, her picture froze. But yeah, we'll get it rolling. Tucker Carlson interview had me rolling. Yeah, no, that was dude, he just like he went on there and like completely threw Tucker under the bus. And the crazy thing is, I just made a TikTok about it. He's actually under 2 investigations, Matt Gaetz is. So that all that stuff that he was talking about in that Tucker Carlson interview has nothing to do with the sex trafficking investigation. That's all about another investigation where him and this guy, Gaetz claims he extorted him, but really the guy just kind of, it seems like, we don't have all the details yet, but it seems like Matt Gaetz or this guy went to Matt Gaetz with an offer like, hey, if you do this for me, I need $25 million. And if you do this for me, we can get you a presidential pardon for your sex trafficking thing. It doesn't really, from what I've seen so far, it doesn't seem like the guy was trying to extort him. It seems like Matt Gaetz is trying to throw that guy under the bus now that he is in hot water for the sex trafficking thing. He's trying to hide the ball, basically. Have I missed Kate? No, not yet. She was here. She had a technical issue, and then I think she's trying to figure it out. I watched about half of that Seaspiracy, but I didn't get to watch all of it yet. I just don't get that app. TikTok? Yeah, no, TikTok's weird, man. It's not for everybody. Yeah, she's frozen. By the way, while you guys are here, if you could like the stream, that'd be awesome. While we wait for Kate. If it ends up being Ron Watkins, I will find it hilarious that some 30-year-old weeb. Yeah. Dude, he's a weird dude. That Ron Watkins is a weird guy. Like, I knew Ron was weird, but they never really did interviews or anything before. That's what makes this documentary a lot better than the other Q documentaries. But Ron Watkins is definitely a weird-ass dude. There's no doubt about that. Hey, bro, been a while. Hope you're good. 1:10 a.m. Just tuned in. Oh, appreciate that. It is about 7:10 here in Minnesota. Don't you know? Yeah, Paul, I know it's late where you're at, Paul. You're way over on the other side of the country. Hold on, let me get on the gram here. Oh wait, nope, there she is. Bam, and she's back.
Hello.
All right.
It might still freeze.
You're
closed
good.
Everything else.
No, you're perfect now.
Okay, maybe it'll stick around longer this time.
Check.
So sorry about that.
No, it's all right. We had a nice chat about QAnon while you were gone.
Nice.
That's how we roll.
I missed out.
Yeah, it's so thrilling. Okay, but so anyway, while you guys are here, make sure you like the stream. I already said that. But yeah, so what is so you're making a movie. what is the gist? What's the description?
Right.
Synopsis.
Okay, so synopsis. So the overall arching theme is I want to showcase how a local community, is fighting a problem, and that problem is plastic pollution. Especially in Hawaii, um, we're right under the convergence zone of the Pacific Garbage Patch. And so, what that means essentially is when there's heavy wind or storms or just like tides in general, ocean currents, we get a ton of plastic debris from the Pacific Garbage Patch. And so that's why it's so bad on the shores of Hawaii. And so the community is really focused on how can we mitigate this plastic pollution as much as possible? How can we get it off the beaches? And, I think people in Hawaii are so connected to the problem because they're surrounded by it. And so I want to capture how a community takes that problem and finds solutions in many different areas within that problem, whether it's beach cleanups, making policy, education and outreach, going out to these islands that are really far away and collecting fishing debris. There's so much that goes into it, and I just want to kind of create a story and showcase how they're fighting these big corporations that are causing this problem.
Right, and I think that's really important, and a thing that I always tell to people whenever they ask how they can get involved is you always have to do it at the local level because that's where you can have the most impact. Trying to get anything done on the federal level, at especially at how our politics are now, is damn near impossible. But if you get a small group together at the local level, you can really change things. But what would you say are your biggest? I mean, obviously plastic's the issue, but what are like the big issues in your way of making things better down there and overall?
I think a lot of the community, especially like just educating people on why plastic pollution is a problem and why certain solutions are better than others, and why banning plastic is good because you can spin it both ways. You could say, oh, banning single-use plastic is bad for small businesses because then they have to buy better utensils or supply or like potentially lose business because they're not supplying utensils. And then from the other standpoint, it's like, well, plastic pollution is impacting the health of the community and the whole entire world. And so I think one of the biggest challenges within that is just, getting everyone on the same page and understanding that, like, if we're not trying to hurt small businesses, we're trying to make the problem better for everybody.
Right. Lawmakers always love small businesses when they can use them as a reason not to pass legislation or have more regulations. That's the favorite talking point. What about small businesses? But yeah, just to share, because I this is something I didn't even know until I did a little research last night before when I knew Kate was going to come on, was that uh, like plastic the amount of plastic that we're producing is astronomical. Like half of the plastic that's in existence right now has been made since 2005, and within by 2050 uh, plastic production will be triple what it is now. So it is definitely an issue that nobody really talks about. At least I don't see a lot of people talking about it. But it's definitely a huge issue, especially for beach communities, small communities like that. So, when do you think? What's like your time frame for when the movie's going to be done? Or are you just kind of uh, winging it?
I think I went into it kind of winging it, like I know that there's a story here because I've been involved with the Center for Marine Debris Research. And this is a research center that's been formed in the last like 2 to 3 years, and they've already published a ton of studies. They're doing so much to learn about plastic pollution, and so just as a student getting involved with them, I kind of got a really small glimpse of what Hawaii is doing to combat this problem. And going from there, I knew I wanted to interview advocates for like fighting against plastic pollution. And so I was just, oh, I'm going to go with the people I know, like the people who I've met along this journey. And so I still intend on including them in the film. but I've been meeting with people higher up in the plastic pollution community, and we've kind of discussed, like where this film could potentially go and who I should be interviewing. And so I've kind of learned, this social hierarchy that I wasn't necessarily aware of before. There are people who have been on the scene for 10, 15 years, who first started these organizations, who deserve that credit. And these are people I didn't even know about. And so when I sensed that there was a story here within just that research center, I kind of unlocked a whole other world and a whole other story that people in Hawaii know bits and pieces of, but it's never been put together in an overarching, you know, showcasing of like what has been done. So I've been, making connections with the leaders of a lot of beach cleanup organizations, the Hawaii Wildlife Fund. There's one girl that I really want to talk to. There's lobbyists who have testified against plastic policy, and there's lobbyists who have testified for it. There's politicians. And so, I thought I knew who I wanted to interview, but now that I've been having, because first I sit down and have an in-person meeting with the potential interviewee, just to, get a sense of how they are in person, what they want to say, and, if it's something that should be included in the film. And I was able to sit down with the chair coordinator of Surfrider Oahu, and, she's got a wealth of knowledge, and she was just overviewing all of these people that I should sit down with. So realistically, I'm looking at the end of summer is when I would like to release the film, and I would like to release it on YouTube so it's accessible to everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, and I mean, I think you did a video about some good plastic documentaries, but I mean that's not something I couldn't name you a good plastic documentary off the top of my head. But well, like I know you mentioned the Hawaii organizations. Like, what's some other good organizations as far as like maybe getting involved with this kind of thing, or just like education about the issue?
Yeah, for like kind of anybody, or
Yeah, like if
yeah,
any of
so
my anybody in chat decides they want to roll up their sleeves and clean up a beach.
yeah, it's definitely it depends on where you're at, because where I'm located, I can go to a beach cleanup or I can go clean up the beach by myself, but not everyone has that opportunity or privilege. Um, I
Uh,
have. Oh,
yeah,
sorry. Do you want
you
me
can see it. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
to? Okay. Sorry, I have a Patreon, but I actually, thanks to, if you guys know who Tommy is, my dude on TikTok, and John Scott Won't Stop, and of course
Hmm.
Driven, he got in on it as well. They were able to raise funds for me to get the equipment I need to make this film. So if you feel it necessary, you can, of course, head over to my TikTok and see, but I really don't need any more, funds um,
You
yet.
do make you make some. She has some art for sale though, as
Oh, yeah,
well,
I
right?
make
Yeah. So
microplastic art.
yeah, you make art out of like the microplastics that ends up on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what exactly now, microplastic? Now that's just broken down plastic in the beach, and then that the fish eat it, and then in turn we eat it. And I noticed that you talking about like we shouldn't eat fish. Is that the main reason why? Because I
There's
know
a lot of,
like a lot of people that are vegetarians are trying to go like they just eat fish. I don't what do you call that, like a pescatarian or something,
yeah,
I believe.
pescatarian.
But then I'd never seen somebody say that like eating fish is bad. But is that the main reason because of the plastic ingestion?
I'm gonna start from the beginning, if
Yeah, that
that's
was a
okay.
long. I kind of took a
No,
twist
no,
and
it's okay.
turn there.
There's, to understand why eating fish is bad, there's a lot of things to understand. First, just one of the main reasons why eating fish is not necessarily a good option is that a lot of fish are overfished. And if you guys watch the film on Netflix, Seaspiracy, it's a bit dramatic in my opinion, and you can, look up the nuances afterwards. But one of the biggest reasons in itself is that the fisheries are being overfished, and so consuming fish is becoming less and less sustainable, especially if you're not sourcing it locally. Um, but the other side of that is a lot of our chemicals and toxins and plastics go into the ocean, and it goes into the microorganisms that live there, the plankton. Um, they start to absorb it on a cellular level. And if that plastic gets absorbed into the cell, and into the tissue of these tiny animals, or even, if microplastic is eaten by, say, a turtle, and those chemicals leach into the tissue of the turtle, suddenly these chemicals are accumulating inside of a single animal. And this is seen with mercury as well. If you eat shark, which sharks are, critically in danger population-wise because people fish and eat sharks, but they have high levels of mercury because they're on the top of the food chain. So they eat smaller animals, and the toxins and chemicals slowly build up the further up the food chain you get. And so this is why eating fish, especially like shellfish or something where you eat the whole entire animal, because then you could even be consuming an entire microplastic. And realistically, we have no idea what kind of chemicals you're consuming, because every plastic is made of thousands of different types of chemicals, and so they're all different. And so when you eat fish, you really have no idea what you're being exposed to. I mean, even table salt contains microplastic if it's come from the sea, right? And so, I mean, I always say the scariest part about plastic pollution is how much we know about how much we don't know. And so when you're consuming these fish that have been exposed to an ocean literally full of plastic, and each individual piece has thousands of different types of chemicals and the ways that they're potentially interacting with each other, it starts to paint a larger picture of what we could potentially be consuming and what implications that has.
Yeah, no, it's scary to think of all the things that we could be putting in our body that we really don't know anything about. Um, well, I don't think I said this when we were on stream, but some studies have, kind of determined that we could each human could be eating as much as a credit card's worth of plastic. I think every week is what it was. Of course,
Yep.
that's a variable, but that was kind of the consensus that I saw online. Um, and yeah, and that's just crazy that you would. And again, you don't know what's in it, what it's doing to your body, the long term effects, and that's only getting worse. The more plastic that gets into the ocean, it's going to be, we might be up to an iPad a week or something at one point.
That would be a lot.
Who do you like? Who are the? I know Coke is a bad actor, but would you say they're probably the worst actor as far as this pollution epidemic, or like kind of?
They are one of the worst ones that you as a consumer can directly impact. Um, because, I mean, of course, 46% of all fishing debris or all marine debris in the ocean comes from the fishing industry. And so, reducing your consumption of fish can also impact the amount of plastic pollution in the ocean. But with Coca-Cola, I mean, we can rally together and fight them. They are the number one producer of plastic waste in the world as far as a corporation goes. And, when they have these initiatives to reduce their use of plastic, and they say, oh, we're going to be, implementing like a new system, or like paper bottles, or better recycling, and they have these goals, they spend a lot of money and time marketing these specific goals, and then let's say they don't reach that goal, then they come out with a new goal, a better goal that sounds better, and they put money into marketing that. And so, I mean, there's Coca-Cola, they're a bad actor, they are horrible on a bunch of different levels. I mean, there's tons of rumors, which are probably not rumors, that they support child labor in El Salvador, that they're the number one plastic producer in the world as far as plastic waste goes. They have BPA in their products, which is an endocrine disruptor, which can harm your hormones or disrupt your hormones. And so that's just one company, of course. Coca-Cola
Right.
owns tons of other companies. There's Pepsi-Cola as well. There's Nestle. Procter & Gamble is a huge one. They make a lot of like household products. I think if you start looking at these different brands and like where they're getting their funding from and what they're producing, like it's not just Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola is kind of a poster child of all of these companies. It's recognizable. We think positive things when we think of Coca-Cola, and we don't, think about a plastic bottle floating in the ocean and, hurting wildlife when you think of Coca-Cola. But in reality, like that's what is happening. And they're not giving money to infrastructure to have a better recycling system So when they say recycling is the answer, it could be the answer, but they're not helping create that reality. So it is
Right.
Coca-Cola, and it's a bunch of other companies as well.
Right, and I think there's even I think we talked about it a little bit before we went live, but there's data going back as far as like the 70s that they knew that the consumer recycling uh, shtick was not scalable. Like it was never going to solve the problem. But of course, that's what they went with because them putting together infrastructure to take care of their own pollution would not good for the shareholders. So can't do that.
No.
Um, but yeah, no, I Coke. They're very good at doing the we're going to be 25% renewable plastic by 2015, and now it's 2021 and they're only at 9%.
But they
But
have a bigger
that's
goal.
right. Yeah. But now it's 50% by whatever 2030 or whatever the year is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's just it's like that corporate kind of activism. There's always a second tier to it, and people always see the marketing campaign or the signs with BLM on it, and they never see the behind the scenes where they're supporting child labor or not meeting the goals, which is all on purpose, of course.
Yeah, and it's such performative activism.
Yeah, most definitely. Looks like one of my moderators says he lives on the beach. He was aren't you a fisherman, Alaska? Aren't you like a what do you call it? Like I don't know, like a professional fisherman. I don't know if that's the
Commercial
name for it.
fisherman?
Commercial fisherman. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have
Uh,
mad respect for commercial fishermen. I actually had the opportunity. You probably know who I'm talking about, but I will not share their personal information because they expressed that they don't necessarily want that done. But I had the opportunity to actually talk to a commercial fisherman, and they go through so much, and the U.S. has so many regulations, and like I would actually be interested in talking to your moderator here too, if they'd ever be willing to hop on a call, because
hmm.
a lot of big films and documentaries and people like to paint the fishing industry as just this horrible place and say that there's no such thing as sustainable fishing, and it's like there's so much nuance to it, and I really like talking to people and hearing like what they have to say about a certain issue, because I mean it's your livelihood at stake when someone says to stop eating fish. Like that's your whole job, and it
Right.
might not even be your fish that's causing the problem.
Right. And I'm pretty sure he has a YouTube channel too. Or yeah, he
Oh,
does have a YouTube channal. So yeah, well, there you go, man. Making connections
that's my
on
favorite
the.
thing.
So what
Sorry, I know we got kind of off topic there a little bit.
no, that's all good. So talk about this break free from plastic act. So what like what do you think are the most important goals of the legislation, because it does several things.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna pull it up just so I don't.
I have so
So,
you don't have the note. I have
one of the
uh
biggest ones that I really like is that they are gonna stop exporting as much trash as they do to other countries, which is like a huge, like it impacts so many other countries like Indonesia, and then they get blamed for the plastic pollution problem as well. And so
yeah,
it's
and
important.
that's an American issue because there about 180 countries got together and said we're going to put strict regulations on exporting trash, and then of course we were like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I cut you off there. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Hmm.
I'm almost there. Because I would love to go through the individual bullet points and say, like, what is, like, why that's such a good. Sorry, this is taking so long to me. Fine. There we go. I have
No,
it.
you're all good. But yeah, no, I noticed. I mean that's again that's something I didn't know. That most developed countries have laws in place where whoever if you make the pollution, you have to have infrastructure set up to handle that pollution, and that's something that we just don't have in America. We put it all on the individual consumer, which
Yeah.
is dumb and doesn't work apparently because that's
Yeah.
you'd see where we're at now.
Yeah, because there's no money in recycling. Like one of the films I recommend anyone who's interested in like learning more about this problem, go watch Story of Plastic. It's like $2.99 on Amazon. I know Amazon, but it's $2.99 on Amazon. It covers all of the stuff about recycling and also Plastic Wars on PBS. Those are two great documentaries that give like a whole like spiel about the recycling industry because people think things are recyclable and so they just throw it in the recycling. And we have a single before we used to have where you had to separate your recycling based on like resin codes like 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we have single stream recycling, so you put everything into one bin and it's left up to the facility to organize those recyclables. And even if they only take 1 and 2, you might be sending them 1 through 7, and then they have to organize that. And if it's not worth the time, they're not going to do it, and they're just going to either incinerate it, landfill it, or send it overseas where they have more relaxed environmental laws and they don't have to recycle, essentially.
Right. And then a lot of the stuff that we recycle doesn't even actually end up getting recycled. Or for what I saw, it seemed like I think I saw a number like 9% of the stuff we recycle
Yeah.
actually ends up getting recycled. Most of it just gets, put in a landfill somewhere.
Yeah. I think it's so 79% of plastic waste. So in 2015 we produced 322 million tons of plastic, and of that, not 79% was either landfilled or incinerated. You're good. And then I think it was 9% was recycled, and then the other percent ended up in the environment.
Yeah. I was going to show, while you were looking that up, I was going to show one of the landfills in Malaysia that is just absolutely insane how big it was. Let's see if I can find it here real quick.
I also have this pulled up.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Well, we can go ahead and do that. We'll get to that in a minute. So
you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. So one of the first things it does is it says shifting the financial burden of waste management and recycling off municipalities and taxpayers to where it belongs. Yeah, the producers of this waste, right? So the people who are making the product. It's
right.
I mean,
that's the EPR laws that
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, like they can really make any packaging they want, whether or not it's recyclable, and they can put a recycling code on it, and just to say what resin code it is, whether or not there's even an infrastructure to recycle that in any given area. And so, like if you implement those laws, they're going to be more likely to produce items that are 100% recyclable because they're going to want to get as much value out of that product as they can. Whereas right now, they don't care what value they get back from the product because it's cheaper to make it new than it is to recycle. But if they don't have that option, if they have to internalize those currently externalized costs, that the cost of the environmental damage, if that's included in their business and they actually have to pay for it, they're going to be more likely to be more sustainable because they don't want to pay for that.
Right. And that's just these are really no-brainer issues, but at the end of the day, like the way our system is set up, it's all about profits.
Mm-hmm.
I trade stocks pretty much. Well, it's pretty much my main gig right now. But and you listen to these shareholder meetings, and every single thing is geared towards profits. Every single quarter, it's about more, how we can get 1%, 0.5% more out of it. Instead of caring about the overall good of the state you're producing in. It's all about how much money you can put in the pocket and how much you can show as a on the balance sheet, basically. And that's just something we have to get away from that, and we need legislation to do it because no one's ever going to just do it. Coke's never going to do it until they're regulated to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Do you mind if I move on to the next point?
Yes, I mind very much. Do not move on. Whatever you do. Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
All right. Anyways, so the next one, I'll read it directly. Spurring massive investments in domestic recycling and composting infrastructure. So the one I want to talk about specifically, that's a really big one and that's really important, is composting facility. So have you ever gone to a more eco-friendly coffee shop and gotten one of those cups with like the green leaf on it that it says like
Yeah, I know
this
what you're talking.
product
Yeah.
is like
Mm-hmm.
sustainable? So you couldn't take that cup and throw it in the ocean because it wouldn't biodegrade. Like to be biodegradable, it has to be able to be broken down by microorganisms, and that is not the case with that product. And so when you throw it in the ocean, it wouldn't. It would take just as long as normal plastic to dissolve or degrade into its natural form. And so where you need to do, or what you need to do with it, is compost it. And so that requires high heat and pressure, and the conditions of which it requires to compost that specific material. It does not occur in a home composting facility, so it needs to be sent to a commercial composting facility. And there's hardly any infrastructure. Hawaii, I guarantee you, any coffee shop you go to, for the most part, apart from like Starbucks, any local coffee shop, they have those cups. We don't have any commercial composting facility on any of the islands that will take plastic like that. They only compost food. So like that is a huge one because right now it's just another form of plastic that's getting thrown away. And it could be a really good alternative because I don't think Americans especially can just throw away the throwaway lifestyle, the on the go, just grab and go, throw it
Right.
away convenience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to take a much longer time to change, especially people who just don't have time to care about the plastic pollution problem. And, they shouldn't be forced to do that if they're unable to. And so having that commercial composting facility readily available and as a viable option is so important.
Right. Yeah, having the infrastructure, just the availability for people to, make a change. Even, just I used to do events and stuff, and this isn't exactly the same. But if you put trash cans out, people will use them. But if you don't have that availability for them, like they won't do it. But a lot of people do understand that there's a problem, even if they don't understand the inner workings of it. But yeah, we need to. That's definitely something you can
Yeah.
get behind. Is there like a representative or something that you're looking to try and push this bill? I guess I don't know a lot of Hawaii politicians. Macy Hirono is one of your senators, I'm pretty sure, and
Yeah.
then I knew Tulsi Gabbard, but she went off the deep end for some reason. I used to really like her, but she's not so based anymore.
Based. I honestly am not as caught up with politics as I would like to be. I've been following the election and everything, but I've primarily been focusing on plastic pollution and learning about the problem. So after my meeting with one of the Oahu Surfrider chapter leaders, I kind of was introduced to this whole other world of like passing bills and legislation and that availability that we can all make those changes. And so um, the representative of my specific area is Kahele, and so I sent my letter saying I support the Break Free from Plastic Act too. And then there's also a couple bills in Hawaii, like SB 350 is about testing water after storms to make sure that the brown water is safe and that people can swim in it or that they can't. And that's currently not something that the state is required to do. So I'm just getting more involved into that scene, but I'm learning about all of the people who are involved, and I would love to interview at least one person from every side as a representative, and then a city council member, and then also a lobbyist.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's a vast, complicated, it doesn't matter where you're at. Politics is always a vast, crazy, complicated world, whether it's here in Minnesota or Hawaii or wherever.
I didn't know you were from Minnesota. We're like
Yeah.
next door neighbors. I'm from Wisconsin.
Oh, I was about to say
Yeah.
I don't know if that geography works.
Just
Oh yeah,
scoot
yeah,
on
but with
over.
Wisconsin, yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
I live like well, I won't give exact location, but I live like 80 miles from the border of
Oh,
Wisconsin.
okay. I'm from La Crosse. If
Oh,
that,
okay. Yeah, I
yeah,
know where that's
I
at.
was a
Hmm.
bartender downtown lacrosse.
What
For
bar?
Stateroom, actually.
Stateroom.
Do you know
I
Howie's
don't.
at all, or like Stateroom? I don't know.
I've been I've been downtown lacrosse, but it's been a while.
Yeah, same.
So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It sounds Midwest fam. Oh, Jay Vakai in the chat. What's up, man?
Oh, hi.
Bam. And driven lives in Viking Stavian. What?
Lives. You
Lives.
live in the
Why did I
Viking
say
Stadium?
lives? Yeah. I can't read.
Now I know where to
Okay,
go.
that's a problem. Yeah, I live close. Viking Stadium. Yeah, home of the 4-time OMO Super Bowl champs. Get close. Are you a Packers fan? Might
No,
have to
I'm a
end this.
Dolphins
Oh,
fan. But
okay.
we
I was
won the
about to say,
Super
might
Bowl
have to end this
twice,
right
so
now. Yeah. No, Dolphins is cool. I used to live in Tampa, actually.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I said I used to live in Tampa. That's where I'm a transplant to Minnesota. I grew up in Florida, Tampa.
Oh.
So I get the crazy Florida with
I was gonna say,
the
how was that?
nice.
I didn't want to be mean, but
Interesting. The farther I get away from it, the more I realize it was crazy. Like when you live down there, it's just where you live. And then once you get away from it and you get removed, you're like, you know. But I mean, I also like pretty much everybody I grew up with somehow turned into like a hardcore Trump fan. So I don't really know how that happened.
yeah.
Because I was like a punk rock kid growing up. So then like, everybody turned into a Trump fan. I don't know how that happened. I'm like, did you guys not listen to any of the lyrics of the songs that
Yeah.
Did you not take the message to heart? I guess not. I'm the only lefty. I don't
They're
get it.
part of the
But
rebellion.
yeah, something
Very
like that.
exciting. Also, for anyone, I'm not a Trump supporter, just so y'all know, if that's not obvious.
You care about stuff. We figured that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
we well that's mean. I shouldn't be that, but it's
Really bizarre.
well it's I think just I actually wanted to make a video about this. Well, I've made a few videos about it. People just get in these rabbit holes, man, and they really think like they're doing the right thing. And that's why I like a lot of the content that I focus on is like media literacy and debunking bad right-wing arguments, because that's what really turns people to that side. They see like a couple Ben Shapiro videos and they get the algorithm on YouTube, and before you know it, they're watching Stefan Molyneux and Tim Pool, and they think everything is immigrants' fault, and then they think like Joe Biden is a lizard person or something. Like this actually happens, and it's
that
like
he's not even alive anymore. He's been dead for a year.
Yeah, he's been dead for a year. Yeah, I was gonna make a video about that lady. Like this is an actual problem. Like it's stupid. It's a stupid problem to have.
Yeah,
but it's a problem all the same. You know what I mean? If 30% of the country, because there's something like most of the data said like 35 million people support the QAnon movement. And that's a pretty big chunk of America. I mean, that's 10%, roughly. So if you have 10% of the country thinking the ship at the Suez Canal, 35 million, yeah. If you have 35 million people thinking that the ship at the Suez Canal is holding sex-trafficked children.
Oh, and it's tied to Clinton because Evergreen.
Yeah, because Evergreen. Okay. Yeah, that's an issue. So that's why, like, I always, that's kind of where my content mostly faces. But I'm trying to brand. But that's pretty much Florida in a nutshell. It's just it's something, especially down.
People.
Yeah, well, they're just extra. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're just very, very extra. It's just how it is. But okay, so what?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. We can't get through a live stream of mine without talking about QAnon a little bit. It always happens.
I mean, I have not had a conversation yet with someone, really, because like I don't talk politics with my roommate, and so like all I really get is exposure from like you guys on TikTok. So because I can't trust the news anymore.
Right. Yeah. No. News out, like the way that we take in our information. And I was going to talk about this with the Marcus thing, because he's he's very sensationalist, and like anytime somebody like kind of pushes back on him, he gets all upset about it. And that's kind of
Yeah.
a lot of journalists in a nutshell in the social media age, because it's all about being first and being the first to a story instead of actually getting it right. And
Which
him
is
along
so ridiculous.
right, but it's all about getting the clicks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're the fourth person to come out with the story, you don't get the clicks.
Yeah.
And
Even if
that's
you have the best story.
right. And that's what drives everything, because it's all based off of headlines and being first. And that's unfortunate, but even though they know that's the case, a lot of these journalists, especially on Twitter, the blue check marks, they'll put out a story, get parts of it wrong, and then when people, uh, say like, "Hey, you got this wrong," they get offended and they like, "Oh, you just don't understand the facts and you don't know journalism." And it's like,
Yeah.
well, this is why people don't trust you guys anymore. Like, there's a very big issue with that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then the right can spin that and say, oh, all media is
right?
untrustworthy.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
that's
And
like one of the
and
main problems. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, no, but that's what I was gonna say. That's the big issue, is that the right can take that and spin that. And even though there's a lot of great journalists, but if they just they're very good at putting people into groups. Like, well, if one's
Hmm.
bad, they're all bad, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest issues with this new documentary that came out. I mean, it's completely divided um, the entire community as far as like environmentalists go. It's called
You're talking about
Seaspiracy.
Seaspiracy, yeah. I watched like
It's,
the first 30 minutes, but then I fell asleep and I haven't got a chance to watch the rest.
I mean, like, it's great for people who've never been exposed to that problem before. And like a lot of people really like to hate on it, and there's just so many different opinions on it. And I try to stay as neutral as I can unless it's really important for me to voice my opinion. Um, just because I really care about facts and like science. But in my personal
What a
opinion,
nerd. God.
yeah, yeah, I'm kind of a
Uh,
nerd. Yeah, so Seaspiracy really pushed this narrative that like all fishing is bad and that eating fish is bad, and that the corporations that talk about single-use plastic but not fishing are bad. And they didn't give anyone an outlet to like direct that anger towards the fishing industry at. They didn't have any action steps. They just had really poor interviews with these organizations that are doing great things. Granted, those organizations are funded by some sketchy organizations and they should be called out, but they just the way that they did it was so, I don't know, unprofessional, and so it made it really hard to trust the documentary. And it's really sad that that's people's first exposure to the fishing industry, because now people are coming back at the science center that I volunteer for, and they're saying you guys are terrible for not talking about the fishing industry, and like people are telling me to
mm.
stop eating fish, and I'm like, I don't eat fish. Like, what are you talking about?
Huh.
It's just like a whole thing, but
Right.
it's
That's
true.
I think that's always happens when some, big documentary comes out. They always get like everybody like, "Oh, did you know?" It's like, "Yeah, I've been doing this for a minute." Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And so like it's just so they didn't even use any fisheries science. They didn't interview any um, actual scientists to talk about the levels of fish. Really, I mean, they had like some stuff, but one of their most popular, like most referenced quotes was about like a fisheries study in 2009, and like that theory had been debunked, so the data wasn't even accurate. But I mean, it
N-
it was a net
Netflix
positive.
has had Netflix has had some other issues with that documentaries. That Game Changers documentary, which is about like plant-based diets. Uh, that guy got in a lot of hot water because he used pretty much just garbage junk science. And there's
Yeah,
actually a Joe Rogan episode where the guy that called him out, like the guy that made the documentary and the guy that called him out, sit there and debate the facts, and the guy that called him out just absolutely destroys him on basically everything. But
yeah,
millions and millions of people watch that documentary and they think it's fact, and pretty much everything in it was horseshit, or
yeah,
it seemed that way anyway, from
yeah.
what I looked into.
It's crazy. I don't know. The whole community is kind of divided right now, and I think that people are directing their anger towards the wrong thing. Like, we could be having a really healthy discussion about the fishing industry and how to do it more sustainably and how to, make a difference. And then it's like, well, that's not what's happening, unfortunately.
Right. And it's hard to, and I think it's what we talked about a little bit. Like, it's hard to get the point across without sensationalizing it to a wide audience.
Yeah,
Because
and
I watched a
yeah.
little bit of it, and it seemed like he starts off with talking about how the plastic issue, and he's always been an advocate for trying to clean up beaches and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then he kind of quickly gets into like the whaling thing, and then it was and it seemed like he was really painting them in like everybody in a negative light. But that's pretty much all I saw. I only saw like a few minutes of the I saw like the intro part where he's talking about plastic, and then but yeah. No, and that's the thing. Like for the most part, there's good in every industry, and nothing's ever. And that's one of my biggest issues with like people on the right is they always try to make these issues very black and white. Like, this is bad and this is good, and everything, I don't care what it is always a million shades of gray.
Nuance.
And there's always all these intricate details, and you have to really look into things if you're gonna try and take out an entire industry, or conversations have to be had.
Yeah, you can't take out the entire fishing industry because 3 billion people in the world rely on fish as their primary source of protein. Like,
right.
So, and you can't blame it all on just one country or one specific group of people, because that's not the case either. It's just like there's so much nuance to it, and to just say, oh, don't eat fish. Like,
right.
It's just such a Band-Aid, like beach cleanups, or don't consume straws, like don't get plastic straws. It's like it's such a Band-Aid solution and such a quick fix that like isn't actually going to solve any of the underlying problems. Like, why are we being allowed to take so much fish? Why are we being allowed to discard these many nets? It's just it's honestly really frustrating most of the time. But one of the things that I've been considering, is I'm really thankful this documentary came out, because I have more of a guideline now of like how to go about doing mine.
Right.
I like the idea of letting everyone know how they're being represented, and I don't ever want to represent someone in a way that's false from what they were actually intending to say. But I also don't want to be too neutral, because being too neutral means that with no opinion, no one's going to like change their mind.
Right.
It's difficult, and I also want to get some views. I want some people to watch it, but I don't want to over dramatic, because then it's gonna be.
It's a fine line, man. It's really hard.
Yeah.
To find that balance.
I want people to watch it, but I don't want to do anyone harm that doesn't deserve it.
Right. But yeah. Good luck with all that.
Thanks. I'm really excited. I honestly think that, not to be like brag, but I feel like I'm a pretty good person for the job, because I like hearing other people's opinions, whether or not I agree with them, and I have no intention of ever representing someone poorly, and so I think that I'll do a good job of at least representing people in a way that makes them feel like they were fairly treated, that they had an opportunity to fend for themselves.
By the way, guys, Kate's TikTok is down in the description. If you guys want to follow her, you definitely should. But yeah, no, I think you're definitely involved in the topic that you're making a movie on, and you're definitely passionate about it. So I think that'll go a long way to helping you make. And you have an like an eye for like cinematography, I guess. Like your videos are very well put together.
Thank you.
Or at least I think anyway. But unfortunately, you don't like yell about like conspiracies. Like I stitched a video the other day, and this guy's talking about like this is a quick side rant, but
I'm ready.
He was talking about Hillary Clinton, like her big battle cry in 2016 was break the glass ceiling, which is like a term that refers to like if you're the first woman to do something, they say you broke the glass ceiling, like you broke through in that industry. But he spun it into like this flat earth talking point that we all actually live in a dome. And it had like 100,000 likes.
I saw that video.
And I was like, what? And he had like 700K followers, and I'm like, how? Like, this is the downfall of society right here. Like, this guy is like basically famous at this point. 700K followers. That's a lot. Talking about like, man, Hillary Clinton knows about the dome. It's like, fuck, man. Okay, but what I was gonna ask, like the whole straw thing, because I remember that was a big debate a couple years ago. Is that just kind of a pointless topic, or does it really actually help at all? Or what are your opinions on that? Because I can say I don't really know much about the facts behind it. I just remember it was a big beef a couple years ago.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, straws are tiny, and like, I mean, I'm in a portion of the world where most of our so a study came out recently, published by the research center that I'm somewhat affiliated with, not paid by or anything. I just volunteer for them. They came out with a study that said 96% of all plastic pollution on the beaches in Hawaii came from the fishing industry. And so, of course, people fighting the plastic bans in Hawaii used that study against, people who were for plastic bans, saying that we don't need that. But really, I think a lot of plastic pollution comes from a lot of different sources. And while people should try to avoid using as much plastic as they can, straws are of least concern. Just because you saw one video of one turtle with a straw up its nose, which of course is horrible.
Terrible, yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
That isn't always happening. It's not like the biggest problem. Like, so many more turtles are killed from fishing nets alone. I mean, there's a net in the office that they found turtle bones in. Like, and you don't see that on video. And straws are so easy to tackle. And I think banning straws is a good thing to an extent, or at least, having restrictions on them, because some people do need straws. And so it should always be available and accessible when it is needed, or, on like a case-by-case basis. But in reality, like, straws are like of least concern. I think it's like 0.009% of all plastic pollution comes from straws. I can count on both hands like how many times I've found a straw cleaning up a beach. Most of it
just
is microplastic.
Performative activism, basically.
Yeah.
That's pretty. If you know if Starbucks is at the forefront, it's usually pointless.
Well, yeah, and then they make their little plastic cup instead of the straw, so you can sip out of it, but it's got more plastic in it than a straw. It's like, dude, it's called greenwashing.
You didn't help. You're not helping.
It's called greenwashing. It's the same thing. I mean, you can have good intentions, but if you look better than what you're actually accomplishing, you're greenwashing people, and you're capitalizing on the fact that there's a problem and that you have a solution. And it's incredibly frustrating because people are like, "Oh, save the turtles," and it's like, from straws, okay.
Right. Yeah. It turned into like an influencer meme.
Yeah.
And exactly. that guy, what's his name? The guy that started Starbucks. He ran for president, but he was billed as like this great progressive for 20 years, and then like he ran for president, and every one of his policies were just god awful. I remember that was like because I worked on the Bernie campaign at the time, and I remember when he came out, everybody's just like, fuck this guy, man. He's just, he's been like riding this wave of like, oh, this. It's Tim Howard maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I gotta know. Yeah, hold on. Who started Starbucks?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure he started
Jerry? No, that's not it.
I don't know.
Apparently, I don't know. No. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's not Tim something. Yeah, no, but yeah, real quick, I wanted to show you guys this landfill, just in Malaysia.
I cannot tell you how many people sent me this video.
I think I tagged you in it when I put
I think you were one of the first people that had showed it to me. My dad sent it to me like 2 days later. I was like, Dad, I already made a TikTok about this. Like, chill.
Dad, you're late, Dad.
You're late to the party.
Oh, it's
my dad's like got Bo of the fifth column like constantly playing. He's
yeah, he's all right.
for sure.
John Oliver's one of my favorites, though, man. As far as like main media,
He
he's he
this was
really
the
he does a good job with like these like kind of obscure
yeah
things that a lot of people don't talk about.
yeah.
Um,
The
uh,
only thing I have to say is that yeah. Sorry, I'll say it after.
nah, go ahead. I don't have the oh no,
Oh, okay.
it's a little bit farther back.
The only thing I
Uh,
have to say is that they pretty much just summed up the entire plot of Story of Plastic. This
mm,
is all stuff they talked about in Story of Plastic, but they have more research in here that's different.
right.
And, it's very nuanced and it's just such a good take. Like, this is such a good lens of, like, what the problem is. Um, I was
Yeah,
very
but
impressed by
this
the
is
video.
just 2 miles of all our trash. That's all us. We sent that over to Malaysia because we used to send 70% of our plastic over to China, but as of 2018 they stopped that. And now we send it to all these third world countries and then they burn the plastic and it pollutes their air, So this is
Yeah.
just another issue with our
And they
great
use it to cook their
system.
food. And I mean, if you guys are into documentaries, I suggest watching Plastic China. I believe it's free on YouTube. It's entirely in Chinese, but it follows a family that works at a facility. They own a facility where they recycle plastic by hand. And it is awful. Like, these kids grow up washing their hands in the same water that is used to recycle this plastic. Like,
Mm,
we don't see this. Like, we throw it away and then we don't have a second thought about where it goes. Or we throw it in the recycling without removing the cap and removing the ring around the top of it. And we don't have any, yes, there are subtitles. We don't have any context as to, like, where it goes. We just throw it away and then it's not a problem anymore. And
right.
it's really crazy to think about because it all ends up somewhere. And if
Yeah,
it's
most
not
definitely.
incinerated, then it's around forever.
Yeah, and it's and that's what the infrastructure part of that bill that you talked about. I think is one of the most important parts because if the systems are set up, you can do a much better job at the consumer level. And it's the same
Yeah.
thing with global warming. Like a lot of the things that these big oil lobbyists and like things like PragerU and uh, the Daily Wire, which is funded by oil tycoons. They push that. Oh well, you want to you want us to worry about global warming, but you drove a car. It's like a hundred companies make up 80% of the emissions. Like the problem is condensed to the big players, but they always throw out these bullshit narratives
They
and
love to
try to
blame
put
the
it on the
consumer for
consumer.
using their
Yeah,
product. Yeah.
right. How dare you make us money? This is all
Yeah.
your fault.
And you're destroying the planet and you're littering.
Hmm.
Don't be a litter bug. So
Right.
many people even comment on my videos. They're like, I can't believe people litter so much. And I'm like, it's not litter. Like, I mean, some of it is litter, but
Hmm.
a lot of it is from companies, like big corporations.
Right. The ones that actually have yeah, and that's pretty much one of the problems that we have right now in this country in a nutshell is just like you expect the single mom with 2 kids to like solve all the world's problems, and
Exactly.
Jeff Bezos just to like skate by and just be cool because he's got 180 billion or whatever. But if you guys have any questions, put those in the chat. And I'll get to those in a minute because obviously I can pop them up on screen here, and we can go over them. But so is there anything else you think you would like to go over as far as like off the top of the dome? You
Something I was
think of?
thinking of that I wanted to share, just because I read it recently, in Europe, I believe, one country, I think it's Denmark. No, not that's not a country, but it's like it starts with a D. Um, anyways, they have a recycling program where people put their like water bottles or like resin code, like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, into different colored bags, and then they put it in the same single stream recycling. So then when they sort it at the recycling center, it's a lot easier and more efficient. And I thought that was really cool because it's all color coded. So it's really easy for consumers to remember, and it's really easy for people on the back end to sort and recycle. And of course, there's, sorry, I'm not like really good with geography.
Oh, there's actually a joke because you said it
think it
started
was-
with a D, and Denmark's the only country that starts with a D. There's like a
Oh,
joke
yeah.
about that. It's like gray elephants don't live in Denmark. It's like a mind riddle thing, but
Yeah.
made me think of that. But yeah, I think
Yeah, I goofed on that one. Yeah,
sorry,
I'm
we
wrong
forgive
a
you.
lot, by the way. Not about plastic for the most part. I try not to share information that I don't believe to be 100% true, but
Well,
I'm wrong about a lot of things.
but
So,
you know what? Live streaming, I don't know how much you've ever streamed, but like live streaming really gives me an appreciation for people who do like live interviews all the time. Because people are like, oh my God, how could they say that? It's like when you're in the moment and you like
you
know
don't think
you're
about it.
live and you're like talking about something, like you forget or you just completely whiff on so much stuff. Like sometimes I'll like watch back my streams and edit it and be like, what was I even talking about right there? And like I
Like, why would I
totally
have
miss
shared
this
this
whole part
information?
about it. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
But yeah, what is there any other solutions that like other, because I think that's something like I hate that like we're always like stuck in this box over here, like as far as like solutions to problems. Like we just think like, oh, we just gotta like lace up our boots and get it done. It's like I feel like a lot of other countries have passed us when it comes to, new technologies and ways of like smarter
Yeah.
and better ways of fixing these problems that we all have, but we just don't do it for some reason because, the national debt or whatever, just
Yeah.
some dumb reason that they come up with. But what do you think there's any other like other than the Denmark thing, do you think there's any other like interesting ways we could solve the problem?
You know, there's so many solutions, and it's really complicated, honestly, because there's like a hierarchy of solutions as well. Like the best one is to reduce, like strictly
Mm-hmm.
speaking on plastic pollution. Um, Reduce your consumption of plastic, because if you're not using it, if they're not making it, you're not using it. That's the number one way to reduce plastic pollution. Because I mean, I think it's a garbage truck of plastic enters the ocean every minute, and I've read that in multiple scientific journals. So I'm like pretty sure that it's relatively accurate. So number one is reduce, and then number two, I believe, is to either reuse or recycle or compost, not necessarily in that order. So, I mean, as an individual, the best thing you can do is reduce your consumption, but also show that you're going to spend money on the glass container instead of the plastic container, or only if you're able to, of course. Like, don't ever feel bad that you have to make a decision because of your financial situation or where you live, or if you're in a food desert, because it is not your responsibility to make these changes. It's the corporation responsibility. If you're in a place of privilege where you're able to make those decisions and make those changes, absolutely go for it. But I mean, no one can be expected to make changes if there's other things going on in life. Um, but I mean, it's so complicated because, like, I could also say, like, oh, policy is the best way to make change, or, boycotting corporations like Coca-Cola and, like, making them feel it in their wallet. I think the best solution is working together, as cliche or corny as that sounds, because we have power in numbers. So if we decide as a collective society that we don't want to use plastic anymore and that we want to push plastic like policies like against plastic, and if we want to have better infrastructure for recycling and have less plastic being produced, and make these corporations be responsible for the environmental damage they're causing and make them pay for that, we can do it. We just have to work together. But there's so many world problems, we can't expect everyone to fight for the same thing.
Right.
So, I
No,
mean,
but
yeah.
that's true though, 100%, that we do definitely I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
No, you're
we
good.
definitely have strength in numbers, and that's I was actually going to talk to Jay about this. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but like we need to start I don't know, like a TikTok or just social media. I don't know. I don't want to call him like an influencer, just like a person. I don't like person that makes content like
I'm
that.
an
That's not
influencer.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. But like we all like collectively have uh a huge audience, millions of people. If you put, everybody on political TikTok
Yeah.
together, and we need to start like a group or like an organization to like really push certain issues and uh give out information and get people involved, or make it easier for people to get involved or give them bullet points on how they can help and how
Yeah.
we can actually make change, because there is a lot of shit that we really need to do as a country, and the clock is ticking, and it just
We can't
seems like the
rely.
way, right, yeah,
Sorry.
we can't seem to get anything done. And and if we could really affect it on like the local level, if you
Yeah.
get everyone together and say this bill in Utah or something is bad, let's get everybody calling the state representatives, things like that. Like I really want to start doing more stuff like that, because as
Yeah.
great as like awareness is, like it's just kind of bitching about a problem,
Yeah.
and
I
it only goes so
love
far.
exactly like that's kind of something I've been like realizing. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Something I've been realizing lately is not necessarily a fault on me, but I spend so much time educating people on plastic pollution and telling them, to reduce their consumption and like, saying all these things that I know are helpful. But at the end of the day, like that's not going to be enough. And I mean, we need to get the private sector involved. We need to change policies.
Hmm.
Everything needs to happen together. And so I want to provide action steps for people, and like having a collective group of people that are willing to do that. Like I love attending like seminars and like youth led groups where we all kind of talk about solutions together and get involved, and like we all have our own social network of people and family members and friends. It'd even be fun to have something. I'm just spitballing here. It'd even be fun to have like an app, where you kind of
Hmm.
choose the issues you care about and you wake up and it'll send you a notification like, oh, this bill is being scheduled for a hearing in 2 days. If you want, submit testimony for or against, and here's what the bill does. And it could just be a very neutral app, and then that could be your good deed for the day. You call your representative, and if enough people got involved, in that sort of level, and people just need to know what resources are available and what actions they can take. Because if they don't
Right.
know, they can't be faulted for not doing it.
Hmm.
And I can only share so much information in one day before people tune me out. Like
Right. Well, and it's there's a really good app called Politiscope that
oh
kind of goes in depth on like bills and stuff like that. But it's a very small, like a small app. Like not a lot of people know about it. It doesn't have a lot of funding, but it pulls like I use it. It pulls like resources and it gives education about like certain bills, what's in it, and like it'll pull stories from all different kinds of media that maybe aren't
mhm.
getting as much attention. uh, it's a good app. I think some one of the
What
uh,
is it called? Politiscope.
Politiscope, yeah, one of the TY TYT people, the Young Turks Network.
Oh
One of them
yeah,
is involved with it. That's how I heard about it originally.
nice. That's so
Uh,
funny. My dad has a tight sweatshirt. He's had it for years
mm.
now. It's like
I did phone calls for the guy Cenk Uygur,
yeah.
the because he was running for Congress in California, and I don't really agree with him on everything, but he's a very like he's exactly what we need in Congress, because he's the kind of person. Because like one thing about the left, and I was going to mention like the left side needs to get more organized, because the right is very organized. Like they are a very much smaller group in number than people on the left side of the aisle are, but they
Hmm.
are very efficient, like the NRA and groups that are to the
Yeah.
right, even like the QAnon people. Like they're very like they're going to show up to vote and they're going to get organized, and even if it's about lizard people, they're still going to organize and rally
Yeah.
around it. um
Yeah.
but Jake's the kind of guy that is just going to tell it like it is and call people out on their bullshit. So I really wanted him to win, but unfortunately he lost in the primary. But yeah, I did phone calls for him for like a month before he lost. All right, let's see what we got for questions here.
I'm ready. Bring it
Soylent
on.
Green.
What?
Soylent Green is coming. Oh, Soylent Green. You ever? It's a movie or something. It's from a movie. Soylent Green is people.
You know, honestly, I'm not. I just watched the first Star Wars movie like last week,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, I'm like
Oh,
not a movies person.
hmm. I like.
I
I
was a
don't watch
gamer as
nearly
a
as
kid,
much
though.
as I
I never
used to.
watched. Yeah,
Gamer, yeah.
yeah,
I used to play like Call of Duty and stuff, but I mean, I haven't played a
yeah.
video game in so long. I bought an Xbox at the
Same.
beginning of or an Xbox One at the beginning of quarantine. Played like The Watcher 3 times, and then that was it. Or it just sits there collecting
Yeah.
dust. Uh,
Yeah, I had to walk away, you know, waste too much time on it. I mean, I think it made me more creative and, you know, more, I don't know, video games help you in certain ways, but in other ways they can hinder you. So
right. I
I
was a
stopped
big
playing that
Madden
in middle
fan.
school. Oh, nice. I played more
Yeah.
like Skyrim, like the
Mm,
Minecraft, like sandbox games where you can do
yeah.
whatever you want and you're free.
Just
And
run
as a
around
kid
and
who
pick
lived
flowers.
30 miles away from the nearest grocery store, I was like, this is so fun, you know?
Mm. Uh,
Yeah, I
well,
finally watched Star Wars. It was exciting. I don't know. It wasn't awful. It's kind of campy, but it's okay.
yeah, no, Star Wars. I mean, I've watched all the movies, but I mean, I'm not. I can take it or leave it. I'm more of a Lord of the Rings. If I had to pick like one of those fantasy series, I've
Hmm.
always digged that kind of stuff. That and like Game of
Yeah,
Thrones. I was a big Game of Thrones
I'm like
fan.
obsessed with Game of Thrones. I
Yeah.
actually I was feeling really down a couple weeks ago,
Mm.
and I rewatched all of it while I was just doing a bunch of painting and stuff. So, um, you know, I'm not really gonna. I mean, I can
Does
talk about
Kate?
it.
Does Kate plan to interview a representative from Coca-Cola?
I don't have
I'll just
plans
put.
to at the moment, but that's just because I haven't made connections yet. Um,
Hmm.
House Targaryen, by the way.
Mm.
First dating our favorite houses. Till the end, I stand with Daenerys. So that's that. But sorry, we're getting off topic here. Um,
You should just roll up into the Coke facility in Atlanta and say that. And they'll give you an interview. But
or
But
an
I'm
escort.
Targaryen. You gotta talk
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
Mm.
I used to be really blonde and have like curly hair to like try to look like her, and people would be like, "You look like Daenerys," and I'd be like, "Thank you." But
This
that's
is a
a past life. But honestly, I'm gonna focus more on like the positives and solutions and what people can
hmm.
do, and so less on exposing people, you know,
Right.
because I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get killed by Coca Cola.
Well, and I think any interview you would get with Coke would just be like performative PR bullshit anyway. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and
Like it
yeah,
would be hard unless you like lucked out and got like an inside source that you had to do in
yeah.
like the cover of Black with one of those voice boxes. Like they're using children to do whatever would happen.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
crap. This one was for me, but what's the next thing you plan to cover on your Driven Takes TikTok? Honestly, I have I'm working on something as far as like a life situation. I'm going to be traveling a lot more here pretty soon, or most likely. It's still in the works. I talked about it on my last stream. Like I'm working on a kind of like a life changing kind of business thing, and I that's kind of going to be if it happens, if it turns out, that's kind of going to be my focus on the Driven Takes TikTok. Is just like talking about that, and I'll cover other stuff too. But I'm still waiting to see if that pans out. Well, not waiting, kind of working on it. So
I
right
hope
now
it does. That
it's
sounds
under wraps
exciting.
though. Yeah, it's super secret right now,
Super
kind
secret.
of. Even though I just talked about it on the internet. But
I
okay,
know.
let's
There's like some stuff I want to share about like stuff, but I can't because like it's so like, you know,
right.
like
Yeah, people.
especially with the film because like there's so much behind the scenes of these communities, and there's, you know, drama and backstabbing and like stuff that I don't want to include in the film, but that's important to know, and I wish I could share it with people, but you know, to an extent I have to keep my sources and secrets as much as
Right.
I can until it comes out at least. Then I can show
It
whatever I like.
Yeah, it's good to like give people like to see like the inside baseball of how things work a lot of the times.
Hmm.
But like you said, it's a balance. Definitely, you got to
Yes.
because you don't want to piss people off. Well, I mean, depending on who they are, I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't want to like betray someone's trust, if I tell them, hey, I'm conducting an interview, especially after this documentary, people are really hesitant to show up on camera now. Because they're
Right.
afraid they're going to be the next Oceana, which is getting a ton of backlash from that Seaspiracy film. Just a ton. And they're like a good organization for the most part.
Would you say like because the documentary got so much attention? Would you say it is an overall positive for bringing awareness to the problem, or do you think it did more harm than good?
Honestly, my opinion's been changing a lot over the course of a week because it just came
Right.
out.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard about it, before it came out, I was like, oh, this is so exciting. Like, people are going to know about the fishing industry. Like, yes, it came out. It was really disappointing, from what we had expected. And I was exposed immediately to the science community's perspective and opinion, and then next to people of color's opinion. And the film was very poorly, but like portraying Southeast Asia, and so that did not sit well with those communities. And so I had two opinions right off the bat that were just really like they did not like the film at all. And then you get the other side of it where it's like it is a net positive for people who have never been exposed to that issue before, to understand that plastic is contributing, or fishing debris is contributing to the plastic pollution problem. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a net positive. I just really wish that they would have been more nuanced in this situation and also provided an action step that wasn't go, troll plastic organizations, because I don't
Right.
see how that helps anything. Like, it's just dividing us. It's not making us. It's just only helping big corporations at this point.
And I think that's so important. I talk to people about that with the conspiracy stuff because it's not always about just sharing information. It's the information that you share and how you communicate it to people. Just in for but that translates to all anything when you're trying to explain like a new thing to people. Like if you share bad information with them off the bat, it's going to be they're either going to get the wrong idea or they're not going to trust you as a source. Yeah, so it's always when you're first giving people information, it's important to watch how you do it. But I'm sure they did a lot of that just for the sensational because a movie's
Yeah,
got to have a bad guy. It's hard
yeah,
to give the
exactly.
nuance of everything,
Yeah,
especially and you got to fit it. It can't be like a 4 hour movie. So
yeah,
somebody's got to be the asshole in it, I guess.
yeah.
There's a Jay Vakai wants to know what our favorite movie is. You can go first, I
Can
suppose.
I say Game of Thrones? I know it's not a movie, but
Uh, I
it
mean,
seriously shaped
it's
who I've
it's
been.
America, so you can
I
do
was
whatever you want.
obsessed with it. Um, but okay, you go first. I'll think of a movie that
Uh,
I like.
I mean, I'm gonna give like the typical guy answer, but it's just true. So I'd probably
Is this
say
true?
Goodfellas. Yeah, I mean that's I think that's kind of
I've never seen that
a
movie.
routine. Oh, it's awesome. I'm a big Scorsese fan, just in general. The
Okay.
Departed's right up there too. I really like that movie. Really, anything Martin Scorsese does to Departed, Casino,
Did
Goodfellas.
that have DiCaprio in it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen it. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Him and Matt Damon. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that one's pretty good. I've seen it a couple times.
And I really like that Boston. I used to do a lot of work in like the Boston area, so
Mm.
I grew fond of like the people with the wicked hard accent.
Oh, it's the
Fucking
funniest.
Noma. Go watch the socks. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, I guess you got to go ahead now. Put you
Can I
on the
say
spot.
documentary or
Yeah,
documentary
you can.
movies?
Yeah, that's
Chasing
a
Coral
movie.
is my favorite. If
Mm,
whenever I'm feeling sad about the whole state of the world, I watch Chasing Coral because it's just so inspiring. It's like about coral bleaching, but they just make it so like you can make a difference, and yeah, I like it.
mm,
I guess. Plus, I've been to Coconut Island, which is like where they film part of it, which is cool. That's actually where they film. What's it called? Gilligan's Island.
mm.
That was the intro is filmed at Coconut Island. The rest of it was filmed in California. But
Didn't somebody somebody I don't remember if it was the professor guy. I think it was one of the maybe Mary Ann. One of them just died recently.
I have no
That
idea.
I see. The comment section has just turned into Game of Thrones lore. I love it. It's great.
Oh wait, what?
I said the comment section has just turned into
Yeah,
Game of Thrones. We got the mini face god. We got people talking about Jon Snow.
I like it.
Somebody says you look like a Targaryen. Yeah, okay, I
Oh
see it.
no, a brown hair Targaryen. I'm like the
yeah,
Jon Snow. Wait, I
but
can't see
I mean,
that.
if you had like the blonde hair look, what was it, Khaleesi? Isn't that what they? Yeah,
I
they really need to make another season. I know they're making like new spin-offs, but I want another
yeah.
like a 7th season.
I mean, honestly though, they kind of lucked out if you think about it, because they would probably still be filming, and they would have had to potentially end the entire show with COVID. And if
Right.
they would have done 2 more seasons, like, would have been appropriate instead of just wrapping up an entire like decade in the course of 1 season.
I'm really waiting for the book to come out. George R.
I
R. Martin's
know.
last book. He said he
Yeah.
was working on it. He was almost done, I guess. That was like a
Yeah,
month ago. But yeah, no, them guys, I think they kind of rushed it the last season.
they did.
And they just because they were doing some other project, seemed to be kind of the rumor.
They were writing for
And
Star Wars.
Star Wars, and then they ended up not even doing it, I guess.
No.
Which I guess was The Mandalorian. I think is the show they were working on.
But
I'm assuming.
yeah, they from a lot of the cast members too, like they had to be really careful with what they said, but everyone was just tired, I think, because I mean, when they signed up for this, I don't think some people recognized that like this was going to be their character for like the next 10 years, you know?
Right.
So they got stuck doing. And so some people were just ready to move on with life.
Well, and it turned into like a giant sensation. Oh, yeah.
It's not very good, but you know.
Hold on. We got to do a Daenerys Targaryen. Oh shit.
Like a side by side.
Yeah, Daenerys Targaryen.
Daenerys. Some people call her Dany. That's what he calls her in the books.
Yeah.
I only read the first book though. I'm not that big of a.
I read 2 of the books, but I didn't read like the middle books. But I'll definitely read the last one. I mean, even though like the story's a little bit different.
Just to know. When does
Yeah.
Catelyn? Because she doesn't die in the books, right?
I don't think so. I don't. God, doesn't she though? No, maybe not.
I don't think she dies at the table. I think she.
Oh
gosh, now I'm like, she's just like really pretty.
I don't know. I see it a little bit.
A little bit.
If you had she always had the best get-ups, man. Like her wardrobe was always on point.
It's good.
Yeah. What do I think about the Justice League Snyder cut? I thought it was pretty good, actually. It was 4 hours long, but I mean, it was a very well developed story. I thought it was pretty good. Maybe we can do movie review with Kate and Tim.
Is that your name? I just realized I don't know your name.
Yeah. No, my name is actually Driven Progressive. Don't tell anybody.
I figured. I mean, you know.
Yeah. You know, my parents were just, you know, they dared to be different. Yeah. No, I share my first name, just not my last name. You know, I keep it. Just because conspiracy people tend to get a little cray sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
If you ever want to cringe really, really hard, go to my YouTube channel and look in the comment section of my most popular conspiracy debunk video. And the comments that I get are just fucking solid gold. I mean, I get called some weird shit. I've been like, they think like, they're like, oh, the deep state is paying you and you're a pedophile who's been on Epstein Island, and like just some really weird stuff. I thought about doing like a
conspiracies about you.
Yeah, no. Oh, no,
you're
totally.
a part of it.
I'm definitely a part of it.
Wow.
I mean, according to them.
Yeah.
Anybody
We
that's
have you on
not on their
cameras.
side is a part of it. You're a part of it now because you're talking to me.
Affiliation. Guilty.
Yeah, you're
By association.
affiliated. Okay. Well, you guys aren't really much on the questions here. Yeah. Goodfellas is one of the best gangster movies ever. Yeah, I agree. Concur. I just love that whole story, just the way they tell it. I thought it was really good. Can you see the comments on your side?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
when I have it in full screen, I can't, but when I have it minimized,
Yeah.
I can
That
see
used
it.
to that used to not be a thing, doing the full screen. I used to not be able to do that. Like this software is pretty new, so. Oh, dude, I did not mean. Oh, fuck. I just erased all the comments.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, anyway, so they weren't really asking anything anyway. But so okay, as far as like somebody getting involved at the local level, I think we talked about that a little bit, but is there any like stateside? I know Hawaii's a state, but it's kind of over around the way there. Like, is there
Unique,
any any organizations you worked with in like Wisconsin?
No, so that's I tried to reach out and see like what I could do from here when I first got involved. And in Wisconsin, you can't ban something unless you do it on the state level. Because I wanted to, Oktoberfest gets crazy, so I wanted to like try to do something with like reusables in Oktoberfest, and it's like the mayor told me that you can't ban things at the city level; you have to ban it at the state level, which is really sad. But what I want to do is, I don't have like a lot to go off of right now. You just have to kind of find like what is already happening. That's my biggest tip is don't try to start something new until you already know what's going on in your area, because it sounds super fun, to just start your own thing and get involved and, like spearhead some sort of process. But if you get involved with something that's already like started, I guess, you can make a big difference and go from there. But what I want to do is when I'm done with the film and done with school, I'm 22, but I'm not graduating for a while. I'm music school dropout, actually. So I started a little bit late. I moved, completely changed my life around. But I want to move back home and start a zero waste store in La Crosse with my family.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you to talk about. So, but you'll be done. Like, this is your last year in college or whatever?
I have a couple years left.
A couple years? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
okay.
That's just because I'm taking my time. I really like the idea of being successful without having a degree, but unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to have to get a degree to have anyone take me seriously. So, yeah, I'm on like the
it's extremely tough. Yeah. I hate,
but,
but you really need it. I mean, honestly, unless you start your own business and you are able to, I mean, it's still very tough, but a lot of people in the corporate world just don't take you seriously unless you have a college degree. It's just how it is.
And the funniest thing about that, everything I know about plastic pollution, I have taught myself or learned outside of the classroom, except for like one lecture about something that I already knew, like it's just kind of ridiculous because I think Tommy and John are talking about it on their live the other day. Like, you can go and get all the materials and study everything and know the same thing that someone with a degree knows, but you don't have that piece of paper, so you're worth less, which is just so infuriating.
Way less,
it's so expensive as well. And, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, the college, the whole college structure needs to be seriously revamped. I watched that. That was one thing I did catch on Netflix was the story about the whole college admission scandal, how that guy pulled off that whole thing that Olivia Jade and all them were involved in. And it's just a grift. Some of these people spent like $2.5 million to get their kid in. And that was illegal what he was doing, but people do that shit like that all the time. And even like the average person that is lucky enough to get in, it still costs $180,000, $200,000, $300,000 for one of these, high tier educations, and it's just tough. But not everybody can start a business. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's always I hate that
for the rest of my life.
Right. I hate when people bring that up. Like, oh, you don't need college, just start a business. It's like somebody's got to work at these places. Like, you can't be an entrepreneur as a teacher. You know what I mean? Like, we
Yeah.
need teachers, we need doctors, we need lawyers. We need these people to run a successful society. Like, stop telling
Yeah.
everybody to start drop shipping or whatever, because it's not going to
Yeah.
work out.
Literally.
Yeah, no, but somebody asked me, can I send you a TikTok? I'm curious about it. You don't have to talk about it. Send it. Put it in the Discord. I have a room where you can put videos and stuff. Just put it in the Discord. I'll check it out at some point. At a time to be determined. Oh yeah, but what? Talk about the zero waste thing. Like, is that like that's something I like until you told me about that? Something I never really heard about. Is that like something you want to try and get started? I guess in Wisconsin here,
Yeah.
or just bring more attention to.
Yeah, so Zero Waste Store, I work at one right now. Essentially, the whole point of it is to reduce your consumption of plastic, and it's for an individual to make change. So you bring in like your old bottle, your empty bottle, or you can buy one if you want. You weigh it, write the amount on it, fill it with whatever liquid you want, like detergent, shampoo, conditioner, literally anything, honestly. That you can think of basically, and then you only get charged for the liquid, and you pay by the ounce or by the gram if it's like a powder. And so it's a really great way for the community to have a space to come and reduce their consumption of plastic. And the same thing can be done with food as well. It's just a lot more complicated, especially right now. So I want to start something like that in Wisconsin and, where I'm from, because I want to take everything I learn from here and everything I learn about, fighting plastic pollution and go back home and, represent something like some sort of movement and be a spearhead for change in my own community, because that's, where I'm from. And
Right.
living in Hawaii can be extremely controversial if you're not from here. I'm living on stolen land of the Hawaiian Kingdom. So, I have to acknowledge that and do what I can while I'm here to make this community better, but, eventually not colonize here and leave and go make my own where I'm from better. Just as, because I'm an outsider here and I'm not, I just see it as like not the moral thing to do to live here forever, especially when my own community that I grew up in needs so much change and reform.
Right. Well, I think you could definitely, with something like that, you could bring a lot of positive change to the Midwest, because we're definitely not big on
Change.
innovation around these parts. It's not what we're known for.
Yeah.
We're mostly known for lakes and it being ridiculously cold.
Yes, I'm a haole. That is who I am. That's funny that you know that. But yeah, no, the Midwest needs change. And I would love not to be a politician necessarily, but I would love to be a member of the community, as a business owner as well. But I'm someone who is just fighting and like an advocate. I don't like the word activist because I think a lot of people adopt that word as, I'm an activist. And it's like, I advocate for certain issues. I'm not like an activist. I've just recently learned this difference in terminology, but I just want to.
I think recently with recently with like with activist has like negative connotations to it in some light, like not so much that it's a bad thing, but well, some people do get it wrong, but it has like a kind of a cancerous kind of feel to it right now, even though it really shouldn't, but unfortunately it kind of does.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to cut you off there. Sorry.
Totally. No, dude. You're good. I need to drink something anyways. My voice got really weird.
By the way, I know I'm drinking out of a plastic bottle.
It's the first thing I noticed. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit. I didn't even think about it till like halfway through the stream. I'm like, damn it.
Hey, what is it? PET, polyethylene terephthalate. It's recyclable. It's the recycling code number 1. But not the cap. That's high density polyethylene. So that would not be recyclable. Like,
oh shit.
Well, I mean, it is, but you just have to put it in a different. But I mean, it's single stream now, so you can put it in the same bin and it'll be fine.
That was another thing I found out when I was doing some research, is that a lot of the stuff that isn't even recyclable, like they'll put the little recycling thing on anyway.
Yeah.
They actually lobbied to do that just so to like make people feel better, I guess.
Yep.
Like, oh no, don't worry about it, it's recyclable. But it's
Which, I
actually
mean, it
not.
might be, but there's no infrastructure to recycle it.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
like Hawaii only recycles 1 and 2.
Mm. Yeah, no, but this is a like I said, I'm this is definitely
Yeah.
like a area that I'm trying to learn more about because like
Yeah.
pollution and plastic waste and all that is like something I haven't really paid attention to as much as I should. You know what I mean?
I feel
And I
that.
think
I mean,
that's
like, there's
I
so
think
much.
that's most people,
Yeah, there's so much going on in the
unfortunately.
world. And
Hmm.
sometimes I hate that I picked plastic pollution because I'm like, there's much bigger problems out there that I could be fighting for. But I think that, being intersectional with whatever it is you choose to do, um, like I fight for plastic pollution, but I also stand against, like I try to be an ally and, like a ton of other stuff that you can fight for and like be in alliance with and, make changes
Hmm.
together. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not an
but
expert.
you
I'm
have to. I mean, there is so much, and just like the way. Like, I think for a very long time, you could go most of your life and not know anything about 90% of the issues going on in the world. But
Yeah.
nowadays, like you're always getting something thrown in your face about whether it's, somebody's personal GoFundMe or some, genocide happening over here or,
Yeah.
Uyghurs over in China. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many issues that are all very, very important, but at the end of the day, like you have to focus and able to really make change
Hmm.
in a given field. And
Yeah.
you're going to make more change in something that you're passionate about than you are if you just try to stretch yourself thin all the
Yeah.
times. Like, me, I try to like focus on electoral politics and just like messaging and like because trying to simplify messaging and how we win, like even though I want this that and the other, like I try to communicate that like there's certain things like we're not going to be able to abolish ICE tomorrow, and if we try to do that we're going to lose political capital. We have to get better living conditions for the people at the border first, like things like that. Like that's usually what I try to focus on. And I only ever got into like the TikTok thing mostly because quarantine, and then I was like heartbroken after the Bernie campaign. Just because like that was
Yeah.
4 months down the drain that I'll never get back. Sons of
But a lot of
bitches.
people really liked Bernie. I
Oh,
did.
it was awesome, man. Yeah, I drove from my place here in Minnesota out to Las Vegas, and I picked up like some random strangers on the way. You could do this thing. It's called a Bernie journey, and like you pick up people along the way. So I picked up like 6 people in my truck, and that was the last weekend I worked for the campaign. Drove
Hmm.
out there. He won the Nevada primary, and like everybody on the mainstream media flipped out because it looked like Bernie was actually going to win. And then like after that, I came back home, did a little bit of work, but then Super Tuesday happened, and like it was just pretty much over from there. And then I was like burnt out after that. But yeah, no, he came close, man, but he did some things wrong, and I don't think like he had Joe beat, but he just didn't. He's too nice of a guy almost for politics in some sense. Like he just doesn't have like a killer instinct. That's just not how who Bernie is. He doesn't know how to go for the throat, and unfortunately, you really need that in politics, and it just didn't happen. But whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like I would like to be a politician if it wasn't so corrupt,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Well,
mean, even AOC has said that she's had to do some sketchy things to get where she's at, and like, I love AOC.
but it takes a certain type of person to like get into that kind of field. Like I thought about maybe at some point, not right now, but maybe like 10, 15 years from now, like trying to run for like a local office or something. But it takes like a certain kind of person to be a politician. And you definitely there's definitely shady shit involved. Because at the end of the day, you have to balance that. How much are you going to do to win, to implement your good, the changes that you want to. It's tough, and especially like the higher up you go, because Because if you're, at the federal level, a lot of people are gonna come at you, try to corrupt you, get you on their side. So it's definitely, I mean, it's just toxic. I think one of the main things we need to do is get, have publicly funded elections, and I think that'll go a long way. But that's, I think we might cancel Coke before we do that. So,
Yeah.
it's not going to be easy.
No.
All right. Yeah. Anything else? I think we had a pretty productive stream here. Almost about
thank
2
you so
hours.
much for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, thanks guys. Thank y'all so much. Remember, I'm 90% sure I put Kate's TikTok down in the description. If not, it'll be up. It'll be in there right away. If not, she's at Plastic Kate on TikTok. Do you have a TikTok, or Twitter or Instagram or anything?
I do not have a Twitter. I tried.
No. Okay.
Nothing. Well, I have Instagram. That's where I'm at usually.
Okay. That's she lives on Instagram. That's where she'd be.
But I've
is it the same thing?
Yeah. No, it's Kate Dolbier, just my name. But if you
Kate
type in
Dolbier,
Kate, it should come up anyways, because that's my name.
Okay. So yeah, check those out. And YouTube channel? No? Yeah.
Not yet. So once I'm done with the film, sorry, I know we're trying to wrap things up.
No, you're good.
I'm gonna upload that onto my YouTube, and then what I want to do is have extended cuts where I can show full versions of some interviews if people are comfortable with that, and make my own videos, go do things with the science marine debris center that we couldn't showcase, because I want the film to be a really good overview, but there's so much stuff I want to talk about that I'm just not gonna have time to cover, and so I think a YouTube channel would be a great way, have really high production quality. That's just down the road a bit. I really need school is just taking up so much of my time too. Right now I'm working on papers, but the summer is going to be great for a lot of opportunities.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, yeah, so you guys check that out. Plastic Kate. Bam. Right there. Somebody put it in the chat. That is her handle. Go check it out. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel whenever it does become a thing. So thanks, everybody. Make sure you like the stream.